We love Counter-Strike so much that we had two games in one. And now we bring you another game. We've skipped the round of 128. We're here in the round of 64, a Minecraft player's favorite number, Vince, as we take on the Witchers here on Ancient.
Yeah, first time seeing the Witches or Ikla in either of the brackets, so should be an interesting one to witness. Some players that have been off the radar for a while. Lekro, for example, a guy that obviously was around the top end of CS for a while, the Swede, and now playing in the Tier 2, Tier 3 bracket, and it's going to be Kevm that comes out first. Synex, though, does answer back, so it allows the T's to just push straight through, but they haven't dealt with Lekro. Oh, he's missed. He's missed his chance. That was his opportunity to get a couple players and soften them up for the retake, but it won't happen. And now Ikla in real trouble.
Not an ideal situation to be in. It's going to be a hard retake here for the USPs. Close angle cleared towards Temple as Cynics will rip the head off of Topper. Ooh, Adex as well. Goes down. Julie's only good for a single frag. Miku on the back of the bomb site firing off with a USP. Their stutter stepping into him. He's panicking, Vince. Oh, they've both got no ammunition. There is spaghetti absolutely everywhere. Knee deep in the spaghetti. But Witchers walk away with a pistol.
Knee deep in the spaghetti and the sauce. They couldn't move out of the slop, and in doing so, the Witchers win purely off. I mean, the bomb was going to go off regardless, even if Mihu had have connected at the end. So Ikla go one round behind, and the Witchers have a very solid investment. Just the one MAC-10. It does surprise me a little bit that we have seen very few MAC-10s picked up in the second round in these situations where it's unlikely the CTs are going to have much, if anything, in terms of firepower or Kevlar. I feel like a lot of teams are missing out on printing a bit more money. But this is probably for the bigger picture, I would imagine, in round 3 to have as many assault rifles as possible. And Fierce still does have the MAC-10. Taser on the server. The Zeus in the hands of Edex, hoping and praying that someone walks in and he may be answered. Not quite. Estain clears his angles, clears the cobwebs, and takes Cave. Kevlar somehow gets the upper hand on Smooth with a USP. That's a bit of an awkward endeavor. Bit of an awkward trade.
Oh dear, oh dear. No, Vince! Oh, mate, he's flown too close to the sun. Like Icarus, bud. Burns up to the sun rays. Thought he could butcher him. Thought he could take a nice chicken fillet towards CT. But all he's done is cut his way through the air. Stabbed Casper, the friendly ghost, there. And we're back into a 3 versus 3. All on the retake then. Dragon blind, but still spamming and the bullets connect. Lekro trades, but Miku... he's in a 1v2 that he does not want any sort of chance in. Goes down as the Witches secure that. Ah, that's an awkward round, bud. That's one you just want to forget about, Vince. Put that behind you.
Yeah, it's definitely awkward, but I suppose one thing that Ikla can look back on and feel very happy with is that effectively came into this round with full USPs and pretty much a Zeus. Minimal investment and took 3 players down from the Witches. So even though they're 2-0 up on the T side with 2 post plants, Esdame, Synax, Fear, all below $500. So if Ikla managed to get some success here, they effectively break the T's early on and have a great opportunity to build up their economy. This is a very important round early on Ancient for the Witches to make sure that they pass through with flying colors. And if they do, it's Ikla that are going to be on the back foot. Estain goes in, claims the first frag, just straight up on ramp. 0 respect shown. Same could be said of Dragon, and that opens up business on 2 separate areas of the map. Donut is ripe for the taking now.
Ooh, Lekro laying the smack down on the first that comes running in through the donut. Topa denied the quick rotate as the Molotov blocks off CT. Ooh, Miku pays off his patience here as he waited towards ramp and gets a bit of a double dink out to silence the player lurking towards the bottom. The last 2 CTs will be forced into a save, so a 3rd round falls in favor of the Witchers. They continue with success so far, using their human sword on this one. Not the sword that they use for fighting monsters, Vince. 2 separate swords there, of course.
Dual wielding, yeah. And meanwhile, though, Topa and Mihu position themselves in a pretty solid, comfortable position. The overall stature of Ikla is far from comfortable, though, after losing 3 on the bounce. And as I was just mentioning before, they had the opportunity to break back and take the economy away from the Witches. That simply hasn't happened. Smooya could pick up an AWP if he wanted it, but it would be a glass cannon on an Ancient, and the current standing of the AWP as well, of course. There's a lot of reasons why he's gone for the AK instead. Makes perfect sense. And so we go again. 2 Deagles, 3 Deagles picked up alongside the 2 weapons that were saved in the previous round. And Icla, they have opportunities. They initially were thinking of charging 3 players over onto the A side of the map. Decided against it. HE just landed in the pocket of Lekr0 as well, so he's going to be struggling for the rest of this. And a smoke in the eyes of Mihu. He did spot a player up on Catwalk. It's going to do nothing though. Nading to try and clear the cobwebs, but nothing really forthcoming. The T's playing this one very, very patiently.
Stealing away a lot of map control towards middle and forcing a gargantuan rotation over towards the B-bomb site. All the CTs in position. Miku trying to push his way through and hope to deal some damage. Bit awkward with the backtracking through the smoke. Bumps into him and gets blocked. Problem is, you might be pushing out onto the A site, but the bomb is down cold on the ground on B. And Topa, if he catches whiff of this rotation, he can deny it and remove that extra benefit of having Smooya bleeding in through the back line. They've only seen Smooya. They don't know exactly where Dragon is. Smooya felt like he had the timing to clack on that one. Does still recover, and they're giving up all this space they had towards the bomb site, Vince. Mustn't have had visual confirmation on the bomb. They give it away, let Dragon get the plant down, and now he's in a 1 versus 3.
Yeah, Smooya's ruse was effective in the sense of it brought up enough space and time to get that bomb planted. The downside is, though, couldn't do anything with it past the post plant. So, Icla will have their first success, trade up to 3 AK-47s. Therein lies the importance of saving weapons in rounds that are just gone. Swallowing your pride, realizing you can't quite ditch up against potentially 4 or 5 players on a retake. And they have got their success as a result. The Witches, though, back to the ground with a bit of a splat here. 2 players very low on finances. Smooya's going to be into a Deagle. Galil for Cynics, but Galil right now is in a pretty good spot. And Estain can also afford no problems. It was another one of those rounds, though, Jackie, where you're watching, I think it was Estain push through the smoke and could have had 2 or 3 kills there, but his first spray was a little bit grim, so it didn't allow him to transition into more frags. This aggression from KVM is solid. He knows it's a blue stop. Spray's good for 1. Doesn't get the second, but he's managed to cordon off the areas. But Estain goes in on Cave in the meanwhile and makes it an even affair at 4v4.
Oh, hello. The blade's pulled out again, Vince, but this time it won't be very knife at all as he stabs his way into Estain and cuts the man down. So, the battle back when it comes to the blades falls in favor of Icla. It's a 4 versus 3. They've got a lot of map control as well. You've pushed out towards A, so you've got the read of where exactly the T's are situating. He can clear middle. After doing this, you're going to know exactly that they've telegraphed this play in towards a late B take. Utility there is mostly reliant on Smooya. He's got the 1 smoke and a flash. Fear also has a flash to back him up if necessary. Topa's waiting for the push to come in and an off-angle position with the AWP. Topa takes first contact, spots him, does fall. Adex has to hit the mark. First bullet connects, flashbang over the top to re-peek in. Lekr0 assists, all on Cynics. Outnumbered, but gets gory with the Galil. Time ticking away. 30 seconds, Lekr0! Oh, he eats his own nade, but he still finds success with the AK.
Yeah, he had to be super aggressive there at the end. It was unfortunate. A valiant attempt, but KVM on 4 HP was also lurking around the back, around the periphery of Cave. So the Witches didn't have too many opportunities in that previous round. They were eyeing up a potential double eco. So they're going to go in for the full-on buy. Tech 9s, Mac 10s, AK, a real bottom of the bucket sort of purchase here. So Icla in prime position to get themselves stabilized and really set up nicely on the CT side. We've seen a lot of Ancient over the duration of the last few days. It's been very even in terms of CT/T bias. So to get that 3-3 scoreline and be on a fast track to potentially 4 or 5 rounds will do the world of good to Icla's prospects. Smoke is going to clear soon. Topova has the nade, tosses it out, decent damage.
They're fighting down caves, spelunking, if you will. Topa as well. Took the warning shot, but that's all it is, Vince. Just a mere warning. No connection with the big silver bullet. Miku on the peak. Does at least strike. S-Dimes dropped. And the T's opt to group up, Wolfpack together, bypass Cave and go running towards middle. They had caused quite a large over-rotation from Ikla, but they're fast on their feet and they reposition towards the A site. Topa is in a good spot. The AWP strikes. Lekr0 lurks in the rear. Easy frags. No response from the Witchers, and the game is now tied. 3 rounds apiece as it falls back into normality. The one big kicker is, though, the Witchers won't have money, Vince. So an opportunity here for the CTs to pull ahead and take a lead into this first half.
Yeah, precisely that. They have a golden chance. The Witchers kind of threw out a wild haymaker there, hoping it connected. It certainly didn't, just one casualty. Ikla aren't just getting these last few rounds, they're getting them pretty cleanly as well. You can see that reflected with $5,000 on 3 players before this round comes to its conclusion. I expect them to build up that bank balance a lot more here as well. KVM getting aggression up on Catwalk, joined by Mihu outside of Cave. There are a few Deagles to deal with, but so far they've dealt with them without really much problems. Mihu double spray, looking good to just close out this 4-3 lead, and they lose no players in the process. It shouldn't have been any players. Labored by KVM, but he got there eventually for his 3K. 4-3 the score.
So Ikla picking up the round, as they should. For the Witchers, the only success they found stems off the back of that initial pistol. Since then, it's been a bit of a bumpy road when we've got into the buy rounds. And even those first 3 were a little bit tight. There was some rough spots for them. You'd hope this is when the game sort of begins anew, though. AK's out for the Witchers. You've reset in terms of the mentality. Firepower's there to play with. Dragon, he's lurking towards mid. Lane control already taken, but this time Miku, his back's not covered. And Cynics is able to find an early entry for absolutely free. KVM's blocked off as well, Vince. Red Room is smoked out. Ooh, Adex, even with the fast peek from Dragon, still hits the mark on the snipe.
Oh, tapping in his Fear God as well. That's a huge kill. Opens up red, but Topa has a chance to just clutch this one out and pretty much win the round for his team. It's not going to happen. Smooya turns around, puts the Galil to use for only his 2nd kill of the game so far. And Este making moves up, doesn't have control over the bomb. That's in Smooya's hands. So instead, he's going to decide to get that little bit further in. Try and cut off the rotations. And Adex feels that firsthand as the bullet passes between his eyes. Lekr0 miles away. This post plant will be coming in. Maybe he can get the element of surprise up on the ramp side, but it has been smoked off. He has a HE, which if it lands on Smooya is going to detonate him and push him out of this round. Incendiary and a flash alongside that does give him some options. Not too much of the timer has ticked away, but it's going to get ever so quick as far as Lekr0's concerned. Probably can't cover all of these angles. He has a smoke he can toss down. Molly's, pardon me, he can toss down onto Cave as the shot goes by him, but he's more interested in that second player. Incendiary out. Can go for the defuse now, but Smooya's bypassed it already. And so Lekr0's chances go from slim to none as the Witchers even out the odds at 4 apiece.
Okay. Games once again reached a level playing field. As finally the Witchers secure another one. And Smooya donning the signature weapon could make all the difference for them over the course of this. We're back into the 9th. 4 rounds, Moraine, at this first half. How's it going to be looking when the dust settles, when things start to calm down? Early on, mid-control is taken by the CTs off the back of the offensive utility alone. Initial Molotov, then the follow-up HE to break the smoke and take the peak. KVM's just walking right down. Looks for the trail from the Molotov thrown out by Smooya. Peppers into the smoke because of it and hits a ton of damage, but not enough to convert into a kill. The first frag goes the way of Dragon as the claws come out and he slices his way through Miku.
Training back on the AWP as well, so Dragon has that 1-hit potential. And if he goes down, they can just trade it back up again. Topa can sense that mid may very well be under duress, but that's not the case. It's the B side of the map that is going to have the bulk of the Witchers present, interested in just toying with their food. Adex stuck in the cave with the AWP has been spotted, does connect the shot, but he has no one to play off. He has to do this all alone for a while. Oh, that peek from Topper, getting the upper hand onto Dragon. Nullifies him quickly. Lekr0 was looking to get rid of the smoke. Little did he know that Synax and low HP was on the other side of it, so he gets gift wrap that kill. And now SDaim and Smooya in a 3-on-2 are going to try and batten down the hatches. It is a low Kevem. He'll probably be last player to come in, but that smoke is depleting now on Cave. Topper's joined his teammate. HE tossed in. It's all down to SDaim. That trajectory of the grenade will give his position away, so all three players now staring towards him as the bomb's going to start to get defused momentarily. They have 2 kits. Surely there's no way for SDaim to get back into this round, and Adex makes sure that won't be the case as Ickler take the lead again.
Provides the much needed cover. Lands the shot on target. And Ickler going to be grinning with that one. Stopping a string of rounds for the Witchers. They're not consistently chaining these together and making it easier for themselves. Spy's going to be a little bit more broken down as well. They opt to prioritize the rifles over the utility, going instead for a majority buy of AKs with the 1 SMG on Fear. And the rest of them picking up nades where possible. A sprinkling of utility at best then for the Witchers. Whereas Ickler, going to be sitting pretty with what they've brought to the party. Nice Molotov to try and command respect towards Cave, but he has bypassed it. Got ahead, so no audio cue. He's lying in wait in the smoke and just going to post up. See if there's a repeak from the CTs where they throw away that initial frag. He smokes off deep Cave though. And that might buy him a bit of time, even backpedaling to plays towards CT. And the pressure's mounting here. You can see from the body language, the way the Witchers are setting up, they do want to go for a finish on this bomb site, but they're down to their last few bits of util. Single Molotov, a smoke and a flash. How do they make work of this one, Vince? Smooya looking through the entry once the smoke fades.
Flash in, doesn't affect SDaim, but the double stack is good enough to repel him. Smooya now getting a kill through the smoke. Mihu with 2. Topper comes in, but he's the next player to fall. They have softened up these targets, but it's going to be another post plant on the B site. And Fear's probably going to do the bulk of the heavy lifting in this trade. Smooya's already done his job. He manages to dodge the AWP shot. An awkward encounter, an awkward engagement, but Smooya, still on low HP, is firing on all cylinders. Still has the option of the ace available. That incendiary is going to keep him at bay, though, but he's probably done enough to take this round and make it the Witchers. Tickling the bomb as Adex, but he doesn't have a kit. He doesn't have time to play with. Smooya may go down with the ship, but it's going to be success for the Witchers. He does now have a kit. He's picked it up. So he's going to be forced back into this one, Fear. He may die to the bomb, but the Witchers will have a 5th round and secure an even affair once more. Fear does go down with the bomb, but they're not going to care too much about that. And I have been informed, I don't know how accurate this is, Jackie, but just to give a bit of context, Weedor did say in chat that apparently Smooya is sick right now, so he's struggling, which may be a sign of his lower performance so far. Nothing wrong with that last round, though.
Damn right he's sick, Vince. That was a very ill round from him. Look, absolutely ridiculous the way he played it. Big step up. But fair enough. I mean, if he is a bit rough as well, under the weather, even goes to show, right? You know, the sustainability like we were talking about earlier. If you're feeling ill and still competing over such a lengthy qualifier, only add fuel to the fire that there's a lot of talent still in Smooya. We'll see how much more damage Owen can do over the course of this one. Low on HP here. 3 HP to 0, as Topper will eventually be able to claim the haymaker on that. And the buyer's rough, trying to make the best of the bad situation, but the Galil will absolutely rip and tear. Doom level plays as they're down to just Adex in a 1 versus 3. They peek out on him together and absolutely maul him. They're debating whether or not they actually want to grab that AWP. So it seems like they're preferring to play for these faster rounds. Smooya not wanting to have the scope. So they want to go for a quick play at the end of the half here, Vince, rather than something a little bit slower.
Yeah, especially if Smooya's under the weather as well. Like, he might just feel as if the the sort of risk versus reward with the AWP, which is already in a lot of people's minds just a weaker weapon in CS2 anyway, because of the speed and the pace of the game. It affords him more luxuries to kind of hit and run and be a little bit more spray-centric, as we saw in that, not the last round, but the round before with that 4K, all doing it with the AK-47 as they barrage onto the site. It's a weakened purchase with MP9s. They bypass the bulk of the CT defense. That's going to be a post-plant. Lacro getting burned. Crispy on the outsides. He pushes the Molotov, gets caught in transition, and that's going to be him a goner. Looking good for the Witches to take a 2-round lead come that second half. And yes, it is that season, isn't it? A lot of people are feeling it. I'm certainly feeling it myself. That kind of part of the year where everyone seems to be getting sick with the flu and colds and COVID and all that nasty stuff. So we hope Smooth is going to recover nicely and quickly. But KVM, in the meanwhile, pushing through the Molotov. He never really stood a chance. It gave his position away. Time was low anyway. And 7-5 will be the score.
Few rounds of leeway. A better position from to end the half in, though. Obviously, the ship was pretty shaky, Vince, but smooth seas don't make strong sailors, and we're seeing the Witches definitely recovering towards the end of that one. Have they got it up the sleeve, though, for a nice little pistol round? Start things off in the way you finish the last half. Come out absolutely swinging. The buy from them is going to be just Kevlar. Everyone throws the vests on their chest, not opting to go for upgraded pistols or utility whatsoever. Early backpedal. It seems like there was some audio there for them to instantly rotate off round towards the A site. Now debating where exactly this play is going to be. They're really all over the shop, Vince, but the T's are out through Red Room and coming in quick towards the A site. Dame falls over as he can't control the push in through CT. Now with all this map control, they could still toss and turn where they want to go on it. But after finding the frags, it's got to be in the palm of their hands. It's a 2 versus 5 retake for the Witches.
No chance for fear there. Even though he heard the bomb getting planted, they did their due diligence, had the bodyguard system in place. Yeah, it was a really strange round because even they sent 3 players through on the Red Room, they had 2 that were still sat back on ramp and also catwalk respectively, watching and anticipating a rotation to come round. So if one of those trades in Red Room had gone the other way and IKLA started losing players, that felt like they'd given themselves not much room for error. Fortunately, though, their aim was on point. It didn't end up mattering, and now they've got themselves into a good spot to kick off the second half. No investment on the side of Witches. They go full USPs as Red Room comes under hot contestation, and that will force Estain to pull the plug and get out of there, as he will try and join the rest of his team on this stack. They're stacking A right now. Will IKLA move into the trap? Will they end up falling into the net, into the noose? Only time will tell.
If they walk into the stack and they give them 1v1s, that's where the opportunity for them to surprise would come from. But with the way it's going, potentially we should have seen the shadow there, but it doesn't matter. They still clean house very easily. As they pop out bit by bit, they take down all the targets. And Estain is the only one that remains. Back out towards CT, 54 seconds on the timer, a single USP in his hands, and the bomb will be planted. So a bit of extra money at the end of this one as well, and it's a clean round. No casualties for IKLA, as they do tie back up the game. 7 a pop here, putting themselves into a good position. But the Witches, after losing the pistol and the following succeeding round, will at least have money once again. The only issue is it's going to be a bit low in a couple places. So utility not quite going to be at its A game, and only the 1 kit as well. They were figuring out the money on that. So Fear will invest onto that. Problem is, when you look at this, Vince, at least there was the 4 smokes, but in terms of the offensive utility, you've thrown out one of your HEs and your Molotovs already. You've only got a single HE that's now been dashed already, and only a little bit of damage done on the topper from it. So not too much to work with the longer this round goes on. They have to play off the back of this early pick and really hope they can win out on their duels from this point forward.
Exactly, and they have got the first duel going in their direction, so that's going to be quite a bit of pressure that's alleviated and put squarely on the shoulders of IKLA, but KVM continues his reign of terror. 16-7 he moves on to. Estain misses his Molotov smoke and pays the price for it, down to 8 HP off 1 Molotov. Oh, that is absolutely brutal. Adex, the other player on the side of Ickler, has been performing well, but he gets caught off guard by Fear.
The Heart of Darkness on that one, striking fear into them. Miku and co, though, they keep a level head. They back off, and a head will not be kept for S-Time as it's blown off his shoulders. A beautiful connection with the AK and a free bomb site is their prize. They're allowed to expand their way out on towards the A site and take it in a matter of seconds. Smooya, first to arrive on the scene, but he probably wants to wait for the backup from the other boys coming towards Donut. They're not in a position to trade for each other, though. They're basically just baiting one another on the angle, Vince. They've gone from debating going for this to playing for the exits, and it's so disjointed, they give everything away.
Yeah, that I completely am on board with you. It didn't feel like they made a decision and committed to it fully, and even if you commit to a bad idea, it can sometimes work out. If you don't commit to a good idea, typically you're going to be reading off different scripts. It's going to look really awkward, as you saw there, and you're ended up going to be divided and conquered by the opposition. So Ickler getting that economy and throwing it into the bin for the Witches. They have gone for a buy. It's kind of a semi-buy down to $1,000, playing off that round loss bonus as well. But these rounds have been rough. Make no mistake, Smooya typically is sort of the head of the pack when it comes to fragging. So if he's having a rough day, a rough time with his health, that could definitely be a determining factor. Synex is 5-7, not quite on point. He had a chance to maybe snatch a life or two away. Flash doesn't do anything. And now they're going to clean up the rest of the site. So B has been broken. And in doing so, Ickler looking good for their 9-7 lead. Unless S-Dane can come through clutch with some spicy Deagle headshots. He's got one already. He's making this a little bit more sweaty than maybe Ickler were hoping for, but that post plant changes the entire dynamic. They don't need to peek him anymore, Jackie.
Don't give him anything else for free. Ooh, it felt like there was a timeline there where he hits the head of Lekro and lops it off, but the Deagle won't demolish any more of them. And Dragon, he'll just be waiting, lurking outside of the cave with a 5-7 in his palms. Nothing really going to be coming his way for free. Such a far call as well to hit shots with a 5-7 from that distance, even if he peeks lane. Probably debating, seeing if he can scavenge a weapon. And it nearly worked, actually. Double dink from him. Would have been an AK dropped on the floor. Probably a bit far away to recover it. But they still hold on, make it out of the round. And the Witchers slow things down. You're finally going to have a buy again. You've got money to figure out, weapons to distribute, and a big call to make here. You've dropped behind by 2 rounds, 4 since the start of the second half. And this tactical timeout needs to be where we see a bit of a change in the flow of the game, Vince. They've got to come out with a different dance, a different tune, throw a Texas two-step into the mix, something that will get Ickler guessing a little bit more. And I suppose one of the benefits is they are actually going to have a lot more utility, at least, into this one compared to some of their previous efforts. And on a map like Ancient on the CT side, that should make a big difference.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I'm glad that they're at least taking their time, getting on the same page. We were discussing before about how some of their protocols and decision-making looked a little bit off in terms of people being on the same page. These are the kind of moments you can call a timeout. Make sure everyone's in the right frame of mind. Everyone's pushing together as a united force. Mid-control seems to be the call. 2 players strong, Smooya and Dragon here, smoking it off again. The bulk of the T's are actually stuck behind this smoke on the A side of the map. But having Mihu in position on double doors always affords them the luxury of rotating if they need it. We haven't really seen Ickler go for that much aggression on the A side, other than maybe the pistol. And that was more through mid anyway. So maybe this is the time they're going to switch things up. Execute comes in, smoking off Donut and the CT side. But they're keeping their options available because the bomb is now transitioning through mid.
They can get up lane with this. Ooh, first peek comes back out though, and it's Dragon with 2. No trade. Oh, mate. Should have been a response there. Instead, it's the Witchers securing the bag on that one as they battle down middle. Miku towards the ramp, bounces the nade. Oof. Ricochet not working well. The clipping not helping him in that one. It's falling away from Ikla a little bit here, Vince. Time's going to be dangerously tight, and what do? You're fragmented in a 1-2 setup towards middle. Best bet is maybe gamble on trying to get in through Donut and go for an A play. Even then, though, you're going to have seconds on the clock as they start to make their move. And they're going back to B. 2 players there, Vince. Miku has to get the kills on ramp.
Yeah, had to at least get one. And that would have allowed the other 2 to just barrage through cave, but now it's a double setup, double crossfire, 2 separate angles. In this kind of territory is brutal, but they still get their man. Cynics now, how has Topova got 2 out of that situation is beyond me. But fortunately they had Cynics who was there to shut them down in the back. He may have started this game very slowly, but he's picking up pace now, as are the Witchers. They have denied the double-digit score for Ikla and brought the deficit back down to 1. But both teams come into the round in round 18 with a solid, hefty full buy.
Level playing field, at least with the firepower. But in the overall score, there's still 1 round of difference, and Ikla are the ones that are leading the charge. The middle is going to be a hot point of contest here with KVM falling to Dragon. He's been playing smart from the back of Red Room. This time he gets in their face and lays the smackdown on them. Adex gets nothing for his early peek on the back of the box. And Fear has to do something to leave them scared on this one. Vince, he's being pushed and pushed hard.
He is. He's trying to puff his chest out and make it seem like he's much bigger than he actually is with a bunch of reinforcements, but it's all a stalling tactic. And now, whereas it may have been a con at first, now it's the real deal. Cynics comes through, doesn't check his angles, gets punished. Second player here, and Lacro goes from kill to kill and puts this heavily in favor of Ikla. It was an advantage for Witchers. A 5v4 quickly spins a tailwind into Esdame having to save his AK, and Ikla will hit double digits first. Really nice play from Lekro in particular. Those 2 kills on Cave were huge. If he went down, they can attack from 2 separate angles. As it stands, though, not the case. They may even get this kill into Esdame yet. 2 players getting hungry, going in for the kill. They want to take this AK away from him if they can, and they're going to shut him down. But you just look straight out of Lekro. Why did he pull the flash out? He got his teammate killed.
Oh dear, bud. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, that's the way that's going to go. A bit of a blood sacrifice on that one, but still around in the back pocket. 10 now for Ikla. And that's only 1 round they've conceded into the second half as well. So it's actually looking pretty damn good for them, especially when you factor in the Witchers just don't have that much to work with. So Dragon has to be a real big hot difference maker into this game. He's not stationed at middle this time. He's playing inside of the donut with the rest of the squad grouping up with a quad setup onto the B site. Cave control being taken by a 5-7. Molotov forces the peak. Cynics hits the shot. And does take down the first man. Arms himself with the AK now. Takes a peek on mid as well, Vince, but not ready for KVM. He'll bite back and get away.
Yeah, to be fair, Cynics, not many people have been ready for KVM in the way he's playing right now. Tons and tons of entries. Very powerful on both sides. Dragon's hiding behind the smoke. Gonna get peeked by 2 players. 5-7 comes in, but Fear's off on his spray. His aim not quite there. He has put Smuya into a position, though, where maybe he can pivot in and pounce. That smoke is going to deplete. But there's still another 2 that are up. And so the Witchers have their work cut out for them, but no plant has been forthcoming just yet. Do Ikla have the clarity? Do they have the nerve to pull the plug and get out of here? Well, no, because Adex is still fully committed to Temple. You'd have to cross back across the site and put himself into harm's way. Smuya had no idea that that was the possibility. And so he will be shut down in that position. Esdame now with a deagle. On a low, KVM could potentially still clutch this round. 25 seconds to go, but KVM is so aware. All-encompassing on the site. Shuts him down. 11-8 the score. And Ikla getting so very close to securing their spot in the round of 32 of our second open qualifier.
The big boy games are coming up, Vince. It'll be the final match of the night if you make it to the round of 32. Following that, you'll get some much-earned rest. and then be back tomorrow to play the latter half, the final few games, a potential best of 3 ahead of you, and those all-important seeding games as well. Adex runs up the ramp early on. Smooya strikes as he'll shut down Miku. Big frag. Lovely pathing on the movement from him as well, as he's able to get away pretty bloody smoothly with taking no damage. So everyone's a bit bruised, a bit bloodied on Ikla. Meanwhile, the Witchers have a fantastic start into this one. Fear does get contact, smokes the ramp, but stays alive, Vince. Isn't just another pawn into the fight. That's rough for Dragon, though. The angle, not quite there for him.
Yeah, it's rough for the Witchers as well, because it opens up mid. They can now go through Donut, Red Room as well, respectively. Amazed that Adex tried to go for that peek. Smooya punishes him. And in the blink of an eye, in a heartbeat, Lekr0 and Topa are alone. Up against 4. Can hear the pitter-patter of footsteps. Smooya goes in for the wide swing. May have got his man, but will be put down afterwards. But Estain should have Lekr0 dead to rights. Indeed he does. And so once again, I'm getting that same feeling, that same vibe from our last game, Jackie, where OT doesn't seem completely out of question here.
There's a possibility. The Witchers definitely seem like a side that should have some good resilience in them. But the scary bit is, but the amount of rounds we've seen, Vince, where you get down to just pistols on Ancient and you pull off an unfathomable B-rush where the Deagles just hit heads. It's a story we've seen all too many times. At least here, though, the utility will slow down the initial push. So no chance for him to just run on through and brute force into the bomb site. That won't work just yet. Time's going to be slowed down. 1:30 on the clock. And where do these Deagles go? Clearing round towards Cave and ramp. Topa, he'll be spotted by the Shadow. Fear's able to back out. And that's a read. That's information for free. Double smoke drawn out though, Vince. So a lot of utility from the CT side already used. And Dragon falls. That's the mid player that's been making a lot of issues. Instantly removed from the equation. Smooya strikes on the scope and slays Adex. But this is a 4v4 now.
Yeah, position that you come into this round, you think it can't be possible. Like, how could they even get close into this one? And maybe that's going to be the resounding thought at the end of this round, and that Witchers have their player advantage back in their belt. They do still have Lekr0 though with a Deagle, a Swede with a Deeg. Always a tantalizing prospect, always a danger, always a threat. In the meanwhile, the Witchers, with 35 seconds, have done a good job of staving off a collapse. Estain needn't get too aggressive. Even if they concede the bomb plant, at this stage of the game, it doesn't really matter a great deal. The plant does come in. KVM's going to be stuck between 2 different angles. Down he falls. It started very shaky indeed, Jackie, but the Witchers get the job done. Yes, it's a bomb plant, but there would have been a buy next round anyway for Ikla, so it really doesn't mean that much. Can trade up to the AK and are now just 1 round behind.
Okay. A small margin here. Very tight affair with the game we've been given. Slow start, slow roll for the Witchers going into their CT side, but the longer it's gone on, the more they've come alive and the better they're starting to look. A well-oiled machine now, and couldn't have got themselves into good form at a better time. What's the play here? Down towards middle early. Smooya, the scoped assassin, looking to split a man in 2 if they walk around the corner and don't find the instant tap onto his cranium. Meanwhile, Fear looking for the peak. Adex is deep back towards the ramp, playing scoped in and just holding the angle. He's blocked off for now, so won't progress past this point. He's just playing point guard if anyone pushes in. Basically the late game lurk with the AWP. Everyone else is starting to gravitate back round and poise themselves towards the A site. Body language making this one look like it'll be an up through mid play where you try and take control of Donut. It's really relying so heavily on Smooya to hold the line here, and the timing from Dragon is everything, Vince.
Yeah, it is. Very important. Adex, though, elsewhere, does get a pick. He gets traded out, but Smooya connects. Changes his angle. And Mihu's up to the task. However, there was another snake in the grass, and it was Estain, who's now behind triple box. That grenade, oh, very unfortunate not to get the outright kill. That's going to cost Mihu his life. Had he have died to the HE, there's no reason to pull out the Molotov. He could have been looking towards CT. Super unlucky from Mihu. But the Witchers won't give a damn because now they've tied us up and Ickla's money is in ruins.
Completely broken. On your last legs. It couldn't have come at a worse time for him as well. Seems like the play is maybe to just go for a faster bombardment here. A little bit fragmented. One towards B, eating nades. Same can be said towards middle. Topa trying to wrap his way around and backstab towards Donut. Keep their crosshairs honed on Donut rather than the actual site take that's coming and knocking. S-Time does push off. Playing back towards CT. Dragon sees them. And they've just got to hold the line now. The Deagle of Electro, it reigns supreme. S-Time, forced to be paranoid about Topa. That's his round play, completely working to success. Fears late on the backstab towards Temple as well, Vince. And these Deagles are getting the job done.
Oh, not like this, the Witchers. Not like this. You've built your way into this game beautifully after an 11-9 deficit. After us looking like you just get submerged into the murky depths, but they are coming back. They found their scuba deer. And they go back in for more. Cynics with the spray. Only one player remains, which is Topa. The time is low on the clock. They throw down the smoke, and Topa can't make the most of the Tech 9. It was a very difficult ask from him anyway. Certainly no indication of his skill level, but it means the Witchers will have a match point. It will be a full buy for Ickla. We will be going the distance once again, and I'm here for it, man.
It's a banger, Vince. Two very talented teams. You know, when you think about the sheer quality of some of these rosters, pound for pound, an awful lot of big names that you can see thriving in CS2, in the environment it's created for them. And you love to see it. Very competitive game here into the open bracket. So close to making it to that round of 32. Smooya has been stepping up so much with the scope. He has been poised for perfection. Every time he takes a peek on the AWP, he hits the bullseye time and time again. And now for Ickla, what do? You're down to a 4 versus 5, and you've got to be chattering. Your teeth have got to be panicking, Vince. You're trying to figure out how exactly you recover a round that is submerging under the water. And Smooya, he's one step ahead. He's already positioned back round towards the ramp. If they swing on him, he's ready for the fight. Cave control is somewhat crumbling, though. Shadow of Smooya's been seen. Adex, is he the thorn in the side?
I have no idea that he's in this position either. Now that Smooya may have to back away, he knows multiple players are on the ramp side. Adex is going to show his hand. Smooya's in such a bad spot, and it's not even his own doing. He needed Fear to survive. Fear's had a really rough game. It's one of those situations where Smooya puts his life in the hands of Fear, and Fear just doesn't live up to the task. And in doing so, now Ickla have a post plant, 2-on-3 in their favor. Dragon and Estain both trying to chime together to pull off something special. KVM spots the first player. Adex on the peak. The timing is rough for Estain, and it's another overtime. Ickla saved the game and forced the Witchers to play more.
It keeps on going. The game won't stop. It'll instead lead us here. An overtime affair between these two sides. We've already had our fill of overtime today on a map that starts with A. That was back on Anubis. Now we're here on Ancient. And we'll see who's going to be peeling out ahead. I'm glad it comes to this point as well, because it feels like there was a few rounds where you could see the sort of struggle for power, the struggle for dominance on this one had really been going back and forth. Either team looked relatively evenly matched. It's provided us a great game of CS up to this point. A few key mistakes, though. The bleed into the back of Cave there in that prior round, Vince. It really did feel like Smooya had pulled out a showstopper. The great P gone to lane, the follow-up frags towards ramp, barely missing the mark on hitting the shots for a rough position he was thrown into. It's a shame, but it's the beauty of CS. A single play, a single man, a single shot can make the world of difference, and this game keeps on giving. We're back into it as the OT kicks off. The first round of 3 on this initial half Ikla starting things off on the T side, continuing where they left off. The play here to give Adex an AWP instantly. Esdame eats the nade. Cynics looks to control Cave by pushing out early and playing on the precipice, right on the edge. If he oversteps the boundary though and walks out past that threshold, Vince, he might be eating a 50 caliber bullet.
Precisely that, and that's what's keeping him at bay. He knows the threats, he knows the dangers, the floor littered with traps and all kinds of potential death-making plays. Mihu deciding that once that smoke is cleared, he's going to start to edge his way closer and closer to Cave. Molotov tossed in, making sure the close angles are covered. He will take control, double-checking it. Mid also coming through simultaneously. Systematically, Ikla are taking each step at a time, but they're getting real estate. They're getting more information for it. Esdame's arm was spotted. Darts back around the side, but Adex is going to take this opportunity with Donut smoked to push straight into Red Room. They don't have control of the bomb, though. Someone has to go pick that up in time. Although they still have 35 seconds, considering that they haven't killed anybody yet, this could be a problem for Ikla. They need to start making a decision, and rapidly.
25 seconds. It really is down to the bitter end on this one. Nail-biting stuff, and they've got to be quick with the decision-making. Sure, they've got a split push, but you've got to push. That's the important part of the puzzle. And as they go swinging out, they give them the 1v1s. Miku, he's the only man that is able to strike, biting off the head of two players. Adex catches the rotation and removes the Red Room player. Miku goes absolutely off in this round. A hat-trick of frags that make a world of difference to keep them in it when it otherwise looked like it was dead and gone. Dragon falls, and Ikla, they starve off defeat in that round, Vince. But that was rough and risky. One that goes down to the last few seconds. If Miku doesn't pop off like that, you're passing the 13th over to the Witchers. But that's an if and or but outcome. The facts are Ikla secure the 13th, and the Witchers begin to trail again by 1 round.
Incredible precision at the end of that when they left so little time. Couple of missed opportunities from the Witchers as well with their crossfires. 2 players stuck in the alcove on the B side. And they're going to pick up the pace. We see a P90 once again. This time, though, KVM makes it work with 2 kills. Decides to run and gun it with the best spawn on his team. The flash is good onto Adex, but with the AWP, he can easily re-peek that, and re-peek he shall. Reaps the head, removes it, puts it in the basket, and decides that this team is going to strive for a 14th round. The smoke has been replenished. HE behind it does nothing to Dragon. But they're in that kind of position where, do they want to stick around? Do they even want to try and go for more exit frags? They kind of need to think about their own economy a little bit as well. Because $0 for Smooya come the end of this round, and Dragon won't live to tell the tale. They're going to have a very, very poor buy in this next round. Ikla off to a great start in our OT.
Smooya even finding the fadeaway shots, as he will be able to pick that one up. A small prize, a little gift that you're given. When in the grand scheme of the game, it amounts to not a lot. It means that Ikla are climbing further and further towards the top of the pedestal here. If they can get 15 rounds on the half and take all 3 cleanly, the Witchers are going to be in for a world of hurt moving into their T side. Forced to make the best of a bad situation as well. Auto shot is getting so much love these days, and rightly so. Shotguns in CS2 absolutely wreck face. As long as you hit those headshots, they destroy. So we see 2 of them donned. Playing off angles with these sick puppies, you can really ruin people. And 1 MP9's thrown into the mix as well. Smooya still has his big green gun. That's why it was so important he found those frags while saving. And Fear just walks down the ramp, Vince. Gets the info on the first pick, but the trades come back in quick succession. Stereo kills as they make their move in. Oh, Cynics with the shotty. This is why you love to see the XM10. It deals damage.
2v2, post plant will be coming through. But it's allowing Smooya to get closer and closer to try and snatch away the life of Adex. And now KVM's the next to fall. The plant may have gone down, but it was delayed for so long that Smooya's position had gone completely unknown. The entire round comes full circle. It won't be a clean sweep for the first half of OT, but Ikla still lead The Witchers still need to pick up the slack, and their T-half was quite rough in parts. So Ikla could still just bounce straight back with his 10,000 start money and put down the hurt and pain. But yes, the shotguns may have been done, but it was the AWP that had the final say of that first half.
Smooya's AWP may as well be a shotgun, mate. Felt fully automatic with Harry got the second shot off. There's a lot of damage. And that really has been the one big change. We were kind of talking about the fact that he was prioritizing rifling a lot more into his initial T-half. Now you go into OT, you got the Megabucks. Spend them. He brings out the scope from round one. Let's see what impact that will have. Oh, rough start towards middle. They've been absolutely mullered. 3 frags secured by the CTs off the back of their positioning towards top lane. The nade from Miku will at least translate his location, so Estheim knows where he is. Smooya wraps back around, looking for a very tall man on entry towards the ramp. Here is Adex. He's expecting the push to come in. Basically just him as the sole defender though. He's got backup from Mihu, but he's late on the peak from Cave. Won't need the help though. Smooya can't respond as the flick is sick. A wrist breaker and the 15th round claimed by Ikla.
A wrist breaker and a face wrecker as Ikla take the 2 rounds match point situation and put it in their back pocket. We've seen a lot of flubbed lines today in our previous game on Anubis with a lot of match points going begging. Will Ikla be able to do it here in OT? 2 great opportunities, 2 AWPs in play. Lekr0 and Adex both using them with 3 AKs alongside it. The Witchers need a hero. They need somebody to break the deadlock, to remove the shackles, to knock down the walls of smokes that will be put down momentarily. You have to assume from Lekr0, although he may just feel like going in for the kills himself with that AWP. And indeed he shall. Takes the shot and falls back, puts more pressure on Topper. If he can just get the 1 kill, that may be good enough. He's being swarmed and the Swell of Tees is now being culled. As they stand, they have been put into their tomb, into their grave. And unless Dragon can pull off a 1v5 clutch, they're done.
Drag on these rounds for Ikla, as this should be a 16th. Nothing that can be done here. Dragon really just thrown an unwinnable position. Such a tall task. Beautiful defense towards the site. The spray down, the teamwork, and the trades bode well for Ikla. And they're going to see this man coming. Shadow round the corner. Miku should have been ready for it, but his block has been knocked off. Won't matter, though, as the second in line secures it. And the 16th round is claimed.